Hello everyone and welcome to GoldenNova's First Reacts, where I react first to all the things you want to see reacted to first, as long as I'm the first person you come to react to things first. More frame breaks are here. That's right, I thought we had seen all of them, but we're getting a few more cards drizzled out from the Rivals and Heroes Overframe set coming out in the OCG. And from what I hear, some of them are pretty strong, so we're going to go ahead and catch up on those ones today. Starting with Deep Eyes White Dragon, the Blue Abyss, a level 10 light dragon monster with 0 attack and defense that is always treated as a Blue Eyes card. You can discard this card to add a level 1 light tuner monster from your deck to your hand. Already ridiculous. This puts Effect Veiler right into your hand, as well as all of the core components of an Eyes of deck. And second, if a Blue Eyes Ritual any number of Blue Eyes Ritual monsters and or Blue Eyes White Dragons are sent to your grave, you can target one of them, special summon this card from your grave if it was there when that monster was sent, or hand even if not, and if you do, its attack becomes that monster's, but banish it when it leaves the field. So you pitch this to get one of your starters, and then whenever any of your Blue Eyes big boss monsters hit the graveyard, you can bring this back as a 3000 attack monster. But it's not setting you up for any of the usual Blue Eyes extra deck payoffs. It's a Blue Eyes card, so for any of the fusions that matter for that, that's there. But we're not overlaying anything, so that's interesting to keep in mind. This is cool. This is just neat as a searcher that has graveyard utility. It's like getting you more bodies. I dig it. I like it. Future Fusion Nova. Now, I did post this on on Blue Sky when I saw it because I couldn't resist the name on thing. But I don't actually know what it does. So it's a continuous spell card. You can activate one card with this card's name per turn. I love seeing the buildings like reaching out from outside the frame going into the frame as like an inversion of the frame break paradigm. It is pretty muddled though, I will say. When this card resolves, fusion summon a Light Machine Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your deck, including Cyber Dragon. Also, for the rest of this turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon except machine monsters. Also, you cannot attack except with a summoned monster. If this card leaves the field, destroy that monster, and if that monster is destroyed, destroy this card. So this is a... premature burial is probably the wrong word for it, but it ties into whatever fusion you make as like a weak point, but it can make any light machine fusion monster that can include Cyber Dragon. It doesn't have to use Cyber Dragon, but it can. And there's no upper limit to the amount of materials that you can use. Now, sadly, Chimera Tech Overdragon is a dark machine monster, so we will not be using our entire deck as material for this. But it is still a free Cyber Dragon, and as long as you are playing with machine monsters, it shouldn't much matter. What else does it do? You can't attack except with a summoned monster. Okay, so if the summoned monster is capable of killing things, then you're in the clear. And we actually just had that Cyber End Dragon frame break. Hold on a second. Hold on a tizzy. One heckin' second. One Cyber End Dragon Overframe? Is that a way to find it? Yeah. Cyber End Dragon, the Decisive Strike Dragon. What was it? Decisive Strike Dragon. Because that had a way to get like limiter removal into your hand, and it can attack 3 times. Yeah, hold on one second. Let's. Oh god, I want to bring up the Yugipedia page, but we're in night mode here, and the other page is not night mode. It's any 3 machines with 2100 or more attack. Must be fusion summoned. This does fusion summon, right? I'm not going bonkers. Okay, it is. We can make sure that it's only using light monsters because we can use material from our deck. Pay 4,000. That's fine to get the limiter removal. If this card attacks a defense machine monster, it deals piercing. And while its attack is higher than its original attack, it can attack 3 times during each battle phase. Yeah, so this is bonkers. This is outrageous. It just makes Decisive Strike Dragon. Like, all the things that I thought would be difficult to utilize about this card are instantly wiped away with Future Fusion Nova. Holy guacamole. That's amazing. Okay, I'm sold with this. I'll beat people up. Okay, what is this? It's 3 different colored Stardust Dragons. Now, my understanding is that there was, when Jack has the battle that gets him Red Nova Dragon, Red Nova has 3 differently colored Red Dragon Archfiends. Does that happen with Stardust Dragon at some point? What's going on here? Red Dragon Archfiend's Chain, a continuous trap card. You can only activate 1 card with this card's name per turn, and you can activate this card the turn it was set by revealing a Red Dragon Archfiend in your extra deck. Yeah, seems great. Seems excellent, actually. Activate this card by revealing any number of monsters from your hand, then target effect monsters your opponent controls equal to the number of tuners revealed +1. They lose 100 attack for each card revealed. Also, their effects are negated. If the last of those monsters is not on the field, destroy this card. So, you don't even need to have any tuner monsters in your hand. You would have to reveal at least 1 monster, but it's the amount revealed that are tuners +1. So if you just revealed a bum effect monster, that would still just be 1. The attack reduction is fine, but the possibility of negating multiple cards and how easy it is to activate so quickly, that's rude. That's a rude card. Oh my god. Wow. Okay, Galaxy Defense Robot Orbital 7, folks. Please let there be a You Got It boss counter on here, please. I saw the image and I'm like, Orbital's back! I can't believe Orbital's one of the cards getting a frame break. That's unreal. Level 8 Light Machine, 2000 attack and defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First effect, you can tribute this card from your hand or field, take a Photon monster and a Galaxy monster from your deck, add 1 to your hand, send the other to the graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except light monsters. And 2, if any number of Galaxy-sized monsters are special summoned to your field, you can special summon this card from your graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. Ah, no, You Got It boss counters, no! Oh, you can tribute it from your hand. I completely glazed over that. So you can use it from your hand as a starter, get a Photon, get a Galaxy, and then whenever you get a... Oh yeah, the fact that it banishes itself doesn't matter because it's just a level 8 monster. It's got 2000 attack. It does everything you want in your Galaxy deck. It's even a Galaxy monster. It's on theme. It's archetypal. Orbital 7 is on theme now, folks. Hell yeah. Robots will see this and say, hell yeah. I love it. Clearwing Synchro Dragon of the 4 Heavenly Dragons, a level 7 Wind Dragon Synchro monster with 2500 attack and 2000 defense requiring generic material. This card is always treated as a Speedroid card. Now, Ian messaged me directly whenever they responded to this and had some words to say about this. Apparently, it's not the best card for Speedroids, or rather, considering how broken everything else is, this one's not exactly getting a big slice of the pie. I can't wait to see what that entails. If this card is special summoned, you can destroy 1 effect monster your opponent controls, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to that monster's original attack. Okay, so it's removal when it hits... When it's special summoned in any way, not just synchro summoned. Blasts it, gains the attack, it is permanent. 2, when your opponent activates a card or effect as a quick effect, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower wind tuner from your hand or graveyard with its effects negated. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can synchro summon a wind monster. Okay, so yeah, it's not a huge power payoff. I think that's not unusable though. Because it's not Clearwing Synchro Dragon, but it is a Clearwing Synchro monster. And as long as we're just playing in Speedroids, we have plenty of different levels of Wind Tuners to bring back, including a level 1 monster, so this can hit the board, blast something, and then when our opponent activates something, we can effectively transform this into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. I don't think this works very well with many of the other Clearwing variants, but I'll leave that for the Speedroid / Clearwing, the Yugioh aficionados in chat to let me know what other pieces of utility this provides. But I do agree, this is just fine. This is just neat, I suppose. Rokket Barrage, a level 5 Dark Dragon monster with 1500 attack and 1600 defense. Folks, the gang's all here. Everyone's Super Smash Brothers. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name, each once per turn. First, you can send one Dark Dragon monster from your deck to the graveyard except a level 5 monster. To special summon this card from your hand, also you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except dark monsters. And when when a Link monster's effect is activated that targets this card on the field, you can destroy this card, then special summon up to one Rokket monster from your hand, deck, graveyard, and or banishment. Oh. Okay. Sure. So this is easy to summon. Sets up your graveyard. And it can unfold into a number of smaller monsters, which can then be used to make a bigger Link monster because you have a ton of material. Now, from the deck, graveyard, and banishment are all technically free. From the hand, might happen a bit because I'm sure the deck has ways to put cards into the hand. This does seem pretty good though. Just even on the face of it, even while ignoring the second effect, the first effect of put a Dark Dragon from your deck to the graveyard to summon this. You know, circulars have been more busted than this, but they've also been less busted. So I think this is going to fit in just fine with the team. Okay, next up, the reveals from the day beforehand. I guess it was the rivals last time. Now it's the hero's turn with multiplying Kuriboh, a level 1 Dark Fiend monster with 300 attack and 200 defense. Hey, those are Kuriboh stats. That's crazy. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. First, when an opponent's monster declares an attack or your opponent activates a monster effect, as a quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. And once per turn, if an opponent's monster attacks during damage calculation, or when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field as a quick effect, you can add to your hand or special summon a Dark Magician or a monster with 300 attack and 200 defense from your deck or graveyard. Then you can change that opponent's monster's attack to 0. Okay, now this has to be on the field for that, but we have ways of summoning this out of our hand. Does this leave the field? Once per turn, if your opponent's monster attacks during damage calc or when your opponent activates the monster effect. Add your Dark Magician or monster with 300 attack from your deck or graveyard. Then you change the opponent's monster attack to 0. So it doesn't leave the field when it does this, so it's not resetting itself or anything. But that could be pretty nifty. Just more ways to get Dark Magician into rotation. If you're playing a Kuriboh deck, this is a great way to get any of your little grunglers into rotation. And notably, there are a number of monsters with 300 attack and 200 defense. I believe all of the base form power patrons all have Kuriboh stats. And all of the Skull Servants do as well. So you might want to keep this in mind for later. And we're not done. Kuriboh's getting a retrain for its level 10 form, Winged Kuriboh Sabatiel level 10, a level 10 light fairy monster with 300 attack and 200 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, you can reveal this card in your hand and pay half your life points. Add a polymerization spell or fusion spell from your deck to your hand, and if you do, shuffle this card into the deck. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except hero monsters. Thank goodness. I was just about to have an aneurysm over here before I tried to break this card over my knee as well. But hey, it's fusion support for heroes. I can think of worse ways to assist the theme. And during your opponent's turn, if you have 1,000 or less life points, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the highest attack among the monsters they control. That's kind of dangerous. What? That's awesome. Just randomly hand trap your opponent and be all like, I actually think you lose, punk. Okay, this is interesting. I'm curious to see how this works. There is a card that searches Kuriboh monsters based on the difference between your and your opponent's life. It works for Kuribohs and heroes. And I forget what in the heck its name was. It shouldn't be too difficult to look up here. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. Bada bam, bada boob. Babushka. Generation Next, that's it. If your life points are lower than your opponent, add to your hand or special summon a elemental hero, kuriboh monster, or neospatian monster from your deck or graveyard. Oh, notably, also for the rest of the turn, you cannot activate cards or the effects of cards with the same name as that card. Okay. So we wouldn't be able to immediately utilize Wind Kuriboh Sabatiel level 10's effect if we tutored it off of Generation Next. But we will have it, so maybe that's still a useful thing to have around. The more targets that Generation Next has, the better it will become. And the more ways we have of paying an obscene amount of life points, the better both of them will be. Starjunk Synchron, a level 3 Dark Warrior tuner monster with 1300 attack and 500 defense, folks. I have been looking for a Yusei deck master for Domain. They keep teasing me. Will we finally get the chance to play those cards? We finally have a card that unifies the Junks, the Synchrons, and the Stardust. Fingers crossed. For a Synchro summon, you can substitute this card for any one Synchron tuner. That's good. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, if this card is in your hand, you can target one level 2 or lower monster in your graveyard, special summon this card, and if you do, special summon that monster, but its effects are negated. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except synchro monsters. And second, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Junk Warrior you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects this turn. Okay, so no, this does not help unless Star is an archetype that can be used to cover all of the Stardust monsters, but Star is not an archetype. There is no other theme that just talks about Star monsters, to my understanding. That being said, this is still it seems like a pretty fantastic card in terms of just playing the Synchron decks. If you want to play the Junk Warrior pile, this utilizes effectively Junk Synchron without having to give up your normal summon. Granted, we are locking ourselves into synchros, but if you're playing synchros, you're probably all in on the mechanic, so that's not a hindrance. And you can pivot to anything because you can use it for any of the warrior monsters that need specific synchron requirements. So that's pretty swell. Great addition. Love to see it. Okay, this was the card that people were freaking out over. Gagaga Magician, Gagaga Magic. It's literally breaking out of the frame. Your joke. No, it looks kind of like some shattering, but it's not consistent with. It doesn't feel like it's consistent with what it would be like if it was actually breaking the frame, because like other parts of it are already coming out. But anyway, it does look pretty cool. So it's a level 4 Dark Spellcaster, 1500 attack, 1000 defense. You can only use the effect of this card's name once per turn. If this card is in your hand, you can special summon it and one other Zubaba, Gagaga, Gogogo, or Dododo monster from your hand or graveyard except a copy of this card. And if you do, immediately after this effect resolves, Xyz summon a Zubaba, Gagaga, Gogogo, Dododo, Jin Heroic Champion, number ZW- or ZS- monster using only those two monsters. When you do, treat the level of one of the monsters the same as the others. Okay. This is fine. This is a fine card to play mid-setup. It only pulls from your hand or graveyard when it comes to summoning. So if we could pull this... if we can grab this card over the course of a combo, which I have no reason to think that we can't, there's a lot of searching on Amont, we get a free Xyz monster. That Xyz monster is within a bracket of certain ones, but one of them is number monsters, and that's pretty wide-reaching. I was about to say, there's no Utopia in here, so how can we play that? But, you know, I cannot think of a single Utopia Xyz monster that is not a number monster, so we're good here. Heroic Champion is a fun inclusion here, very fun, as well as Jin. And yeah, so Domain adjacent people, we're talking about how this is just like a wild card for Domain because it just adds its word slop in here. You can now play every number card with this in rotation. This is just great. Now, granted, this does make a terrible deck master because its effect activates while in the hands, so you actually do not want to play this as your deck master. But it does do good as a card, as part of a Utopia or Gagaga pile. So, and then outside of Domain, of course, this is just a solid card to have as part of your combo line. Okay, Horoscope Sorcerer, the Stargazer Magician, a level 5 pendulum scale 1, 1200 attack, 2400 defense, dark spellcaster monster. What the heck do? You can only use the pendulum effect of this card's name once per turn. First pendulum effect. When your opponent's activated spell card or effect resolves, if you control a magician pendulum monster or an odd eyes monster, you can negate that effect, then destroy this card. So, cool spell negate there. Monster effect. You can only use each of those monster effects once per turn. First, you can discard one other magician pendulum monster, perform a pout monster, or odd eyes monster to special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned, you can add a pendulum monster with 2500 attack from your deck to your hand, odd eyes pendulum dragon, and you can target one pendulum monster card that you control. Destroy it, then you can add one face-up pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. So that recycles itself. Because you destroy it, then you add. So, curious. So we can summon it out, effectively put it back into our hand. If there's a pendulum monster with 2500 attack, that's a good complementary scale to this. This is a fantastic way to turn one other of these kinds of monsters into that scale. And then it just provides you spell protection. I wonder if we're going to see a Stargazer and Time. Yeah, Time Gazer. I hope it's Time Gazer. Magician. I wonder if we'll see another a retrain of that as part of our this pack. Okay, last one for this page, Cyberse Code Magician, a level 7 Dark Cyberse Ritual monster with 2500 attack and 2000 defense. You can ritual summon this card with Signet Ritual. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, if a Link monster you control would be used as Link material for a Cyberse monster, this card in your hand can also be used as material. Oh, that's cute. So it's not just if you would Link summon anything using a monster you control, you have to actually use a Link monster. And that's fun because it's in the hand. So I don't normally think of ritual monsters as Link material, save for some very specific ritual decks. So the idea that this has that text too seems very funny to me. If this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, you can activate this effect. You cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except Cyberse monsters. Also send a Cyberse monster from your deck to the graveyard, or if this card is ritual summoned, you can special summon that monster instead. So what's the play sequence here? We have this in our hand. We go for a Link summon with one of our Link monsters. We pitch this along with it to make that Link monster, and then we send any Cyberse monster from our deck to our graveyard. Alternatively, if this is ritual summoned and we use it as Link material, or find some other usage for it, we get to pull any Cyberse monster out of our deck and put it onto the field. Interesting. I'm not entirely... This just seems good generally. I think my issue is that it's not blowing me away, and I know that the Cyberse code pile is not wanting for quality cards, so I just don't know if it's powerful enough. Though notably, it's a level 7 ritual monster, so we can search it with Preparation of Rites. So we have a lot of access to this. I'd keep an eye out on this one. That seems pretty good. So good. They're all just good. Multiplying kuribohs might be a little under. Sabatiel, I think, has a chance, but in general, they're all pretty good. Speaking of things related to Kuriboh, we have some more hero support coming out. And is this another Blazing Dominion card? It is. We cannot stop. And this is Hero Flash, but this time we have dashes in the hero to show that it's a different spell. You can activate this a card with this card's name once per turn, and it utilizes one of the following effects. First, for the rest of the turn, if an elemental hero monster you control attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. So, great. Everyone gets to be a Blade Edge. Or target cards your opponent controls up to the number of elemental hero monsters you control and destroy them. That seems fantastic. Take an elemental hero monster, this is the third effect. Take an elemental hero monster from your grave, and if you do, either add it to your hand or special summon it. So monster reborn or recursion. And lastly, for the rest of the turn, elemental hero monsters you control can attack your opponent directly. Now, it is only elemental hero cards that function with this, so we cannot extend this to things like Destiny or Evil Heroes, or another hero we've got. It's only elemental heroes. That being said, there are some E-heroes that get some pretty impressive stat bonuses. Have you seen Shining Neos Wingman? It's, good. It's pretty strong, and it gets big. So, this seems pretty versatile. The question is, how useful is this? I think at base, it being a monster reborn is good enough for it to see play. Being able to recycle heroes and get them back out onto the field, utilize their effects again, or just having fodder is, I think, universally good. And then adding 3 other modal effects on there to enhance your lineup, depending on the situation, actually seems fantastic. I think this is a card to look out for. Like I said, think though. It's kind of up in the air. Okay, this was a funny picture, and it appears we have another in the long line of stupid cards that we have that are just here to be funny. Is this number 100? It's number 80, actually. That's the one. 100, it goes up to 100 in core sets, but 80 is the final card. The number 80, terrible-ass card, Moving Point Pendulum, a continuous trap card. Once per turn during the standby phase, place a T counter on this card. Second, once per turn, you can target 1 pendulum monster in your main monster zone. Move that pendulum monster to an adjacent main monster zone, a number of times equal to the number of T counters on this card. Then, if there is an opponent's fusion and or exceeds monster with a level or rank equal to or lower than the targeted monster's pendulum scale in its column, destroy as many of them as possible, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the total attack they had on the field. So, it's only fusion and exceeds monsters that we're punishing here. And we have to put our pendulum monsters. This is a thing that interacts with pendulum cards, but not the pendulum zone. This is purely messing with pendulum monsters in main monster zones. Targeted monsters pendulum scale. And we want to hit something with a big pendulum scale so that it can beat out other, like the fusion and the exceeds monsters, and then it burns stuff. You can do this every turn, and eventually get to a point where we can't not, or I guess not can't not. I guess we can overshoot it if we have too many movements, but we can just summon new pendulum monsters onto new zones that line up with how the effect works. There's no way this is playable, right? This is funny, but there's no way this is playable, right? Though it is a pendulum card, and I think that we can search this, so... It's also notable that you only get a T counter on it during the standby phase, though of course you have to wait until your opponent's turn to activate this anyway. No, this can't be good. It is an 80 card, but... Okay, lastly, some Enneacraft cards. Another wave of support for the latest pendulum mistake created by the team. First is Trito Enneacraft Exapasticea, a level 1 Earth Machine pendulum monster, 100 attack, 0 defense, 100 attack, 1000 defense, 0 pendulum scale. Its pendulum effect is the same as the other ones. Each time any number of monsters are flipped face up, place an EC counter on this card. And second, you can pay 900 life points to reveal 3 Enneacraft cards from your deck. Your opponent randomly picks one to add to your hand and then shuffles the rest into the deck. Okay, so I don't think this is... I think this one is the one that shows up on all of them. I think this one is specific. And that is like Super Scout. Okay, monster. You can reveal this card in your hand to special summon a monster from your hand in face down defense position. You cannot special summon the turn you activate this effect except in face down defense position. Now, that's part of all the Enneacrafts. Second, when your opponent activates a card or effect that includes an effect that sets a card, you can change this face down card on the field face up defense position to add an Enneacraft card from your deck to your hand. Your opponent activates a card or effect that includes an effect that sets a card. Okay. What, like for the mirror match or something? And then third, flip, destroy one spell or trap card your opponent controls, and if you do, special summon one monster from your hand in face down defense position, which will trigger off of this because we had to flip it up to use that. So, well, it's more names. We gotta have more names. Enneacraft Atl.Spia, a level 9 light machine pendulum flip monster with 3000 attack, 2500 defense, and a scale of 0. Pendulum effect, each time a monster is flipped face up, plays an EC counter on this card. At the end of the battle phase, if you have an Enneacraft card in your other pendulum zone, you can target one monster your opponent controls with less attack than this card and destroy it. And it has 3000 attack, so not a lot of things are going to get over that. It has the reveal in hand to summon clause, which is, once again, not once per turn. You can summon as many monsters out of your hand face down if you want. When your opponent activates a card or effect as Chainlink 3 or higher as a quick effect, you can change this face down card to face up defense position, negate the activation of your opponent's cards and effects activated before this on the chain, and if you just do, destroy the negated card. They reprinted Vanity's Call as a monster that only hits your opponent's effects on the chain? I guess the issue here is, well, no, there's no issue. You can summon any monster out of your hand face down with Enneacraft. That's their whole deal. Summoning this, there is no issue. And then third, after this card is flipped face up, while it's in the monster zone, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to the activation of their own cards and effects. That's funny. So if they activate something and you decline responding, that closes the chain because then they can't respond to their own cards, thus changing the game from the chain-based system that we have here in the TCG to the stack in Magic the Gathering. Because here, whenever you do something and your opponent declines, you get a chance to do something else. But if you're in Magic, if you want to make sure you have multiple things going off, you have to do the one thing and then hold a priority to do a second thing. It's kind of like Ignition priority that we used to have in the TCG. Magic just had that. And that way you could play as many effects as you wanted before moving on to your opponent. Because if they didn't do anything in response to you, that would just close the stack and you'd resolve the latest thing on there. And this seems pretty similar. Now, if you don't have a response to your opponent doing a thing, they ain't responding with anything. So we're just going to move through the turn. This card in general seems pretty funky. It's an Omni-Negate, multi-Omni-Negate if your opponent plays a bunch of effects. And then once it gets flipped up, your opponent has limited options for the rest of the turn. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Enneacraft Reset, a normal spell card. You can only activate a card with this card's name once per turn. First effect, place one Enneapolis from your deck or graveyard face up in your field zone, or if you already control Enneapolis, you can negate the effects of face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of cards in your pendulum zone instead, so up to 2. Second, if your opponent activates a card or effect while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card to change Enneacraft monsters you control to face down defense position up to the number of cards in your pendulum zone. So it does not activate their effects, but rather it sets them up to be activated again because they'll be face down and they can activate their stuff again. This trio of cards seems busted. I remember people were having a little bit of a moment with these when they were announced, and I can kind of see why. As someone who still has not fully grasped the intricacies of Enneacraft, this still seems bonkers and unreal. And why are they giving them even more ways to enable their funky, wonky gameplay style? That being said, I do have to stand them because all of them are big shield gardenas, and having cards in the game that can activate their effects while face down, when by all rights they shouldn't be able to, is hilarious. And it really goes to show that if Konami says something can work, it will just work. So yeah, Enneacraft, big winners here. People with senses of humor won with Moving Point Pendulum. Hero Flash I think is really good, and most of the overframes I think were pretty good. I couldn't pick a bad one out of the bunch. Maybe some ones that didn't reach the high highs as some of the other cards, but these ones were still pretty fantastic. What do you guys think, though? Any hidden interactions within these cards that I missed out on? Any theme that you hope gets one sweet overframe treatment that will send it into a new era of playability? Let me know down below in the comments. And until the next time Konami drops some juicy spoilers, I will see all of you next time. Bye-bye. Today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and save 5% on your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout while helping out the channel. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media, and the Critic of Innocence, Nebula Navigators, 3rd Dynasty, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Battle Axe, Beastsman, Charlie Mercury, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade, Eric, Frankie, Green Knight, Great Big Pillock, Groog, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Marion James C. Picata, Meme King, Muse Clark, Neon Yami Nair, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Pat Boos, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, Redtail, RJ the Jank Monarch, Sonic 21 Blast, That One Dumbass and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders, Anthrak, A Random Pup, Blaze Rider, Blitzwolf, Brandon Guzman, Chaz Ghost, Christopher Fuss, again, Cool Trainer Dark, Dr. Entity, RIP, Eki Bullock, Edelweiss EN, Eva Padilla, Herbal D, Inblink, J.A. Flair, Julian Marquez, Kale the Dragon, Kryptonian Blurred, Lobomaru02, Manga Pages, Millennia Asta, Mr. Machina, Natiel Lee Alexander, Nicholas Murphy, Not Al Gore, Obsidian, Rhyme Kairos, Rogue Wolf, Seraph SG, Shizuki Nijimura, Stephen Huntsman, The Legendary Raven, The Queen of Time, Tiger X2476, Tristan O'Meara, Zaldreka, Zephrath the Rock Thing, and Zentha, as well as all the lovely Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon in the description or consider joining as a YouTube member.